If you find a celebrity on a bottle, run. And I'll tell you how stupid this is. Stay tuned for the end of the video. I got a really cool bottle. I doubt any of y'all have. It's one of the best bottles of whiskey I've ever had in my life. What's up, y'all? So today we got something really cool planned. So I know you can kind of see what I have in the background a little bit, but we're gonna kind of go on an in-depth dive on some of the bottles I have. My collection is not gonna be as big as a lot of y'all's at home. I'm only about 125. Most of the bottles I get and taste are coming from either work. A lot of them come from my brother. So I've tasted many more than this, but I only buy things that I am just totally in love with and I can afford, obviously. We're just gonna kind of go through my collection, things I think are cool, some of my favorites, which you saw in the Mary Mash off in this last recent series. But yeah, let's get at it. All right, so let's just start at the top and work all the way down all the way bottom. So in the back here, I have some stuff. If you're in Tennessee, you might have seen these. I've never seen these in the store before. So Still Austin, and these are going to be kind of a limited release. These are store picks from Alamo City Liquor. These are the cask strength versions. So this is rye. This is going to be a regular bourbon. So Still Austin, I think, is one of the better Texas whiskey brands. Like you've seen in the videos, Devil's River, I blinded this probably 3 or 4 times on this channel, and it always comes out on top. This is my favorite bottle, period. From what I've heard, the brand as a whole is not great, but this is the Distiller Select, and that's batch 1. I love that bottle, but if I had to pick my favorite Texas brand, it would definitely be Still Austin. And guys, Texas whiskeys, they're getting better. They're learning how to age stuff in that environment. But what Still Austin does that's really cool. So their master distiller was in brandy. What they do is they will water down, they'll proof it down in the barrel, right? So you have this water kind of aging over time instead of just proofing everything down afterwards and such high alcohol content interacting with the barrel. What that does is allows it to not take on that super tannic leather note. Once it's your 40 or 50 proof high rye bourbon mix that they proof it down with over time. It's a really, really cool process, but that's what you do in brandy. So this one, I have never seen anybody do any reviews on this. JT Mellick. So this is rice. This is 100% rice whiskey. This is also a store pick from a Texas store. This tastes like corn. I mean, honestly, it tastes like the light whiskeys, like the Fountain Norths, the Obtaining we did in the last video, any of the American light whiskeys from MGP. That's a really, really cool one. Again, I've never seen it really heater, but I believe you can order that. Backbone. So we've done a few on these. Backbone is MGP. They're a really good price, and they're usually going to be cask strength stuff. I really like their system. This is American light whiskey. This is the rye, and then we've done a video on their uncut bourbon. I think I've done that at least twice, but that one's gone. I've done that one too. 1792. One of the best budget value brands on the market. Everything from small batch all the way up to, I think they just have a cognac release, which is the most expensive, but even this full proof, that is like a $60 bottle, depending on where you're at. Phenomenal stuff. The 12-year, I'm actually gonna do pretty soon. I keep talking about it. We're gonna do an Eagle 12 for 1792 12. Really great brand. And they cover all the bases. Single barrels, bottle and bond, full proof, 12-year with the high age. They got some finishes, they got a weeder, things like that. These I'm kind of torn on. So Henry McKenna 10-year bottle and bond used to be just a regular bottle. It exploded during COVID. It's a 10-year bottle and bond. It was, I want to say, right now it's like $65. You find MSRP, I think it was $50 before. Blew up because it was really good. I think it's digressed a little bit, kind of pulled back in quality a little bit, but I think it's still great. If you can find it for $65, I'd definitely hit it. So this is a really cool one. I'm not super fond of it, but it's really cool. It's a light whiskey from Texas, and they're going to the 101 is actually the age, so the 101 days. That's why it's so light. Also, it's in X barrels. I believe they're using X Still Austin barrels because they are right next to them, and light whiskey has to be aged in either X charred barrels or new uncharred barrels. Okay, Dancing Goat. I really don't know much about them, but this is freaking phenomenal. 9-year straight wheat whiskey, and it's cask strength. You see how light it is? So I still don't know what they're doing, but I'm assuming it's either X barrels or uncharred. They're kind of treating like a light whiskey. I don't know why it's so light, but really cool bottle there. Penelope is really cool. We'll get into that in a second, but the only celebrity bourbon I've ever liked, spin around here, my bad. Only celebrity bourbon I've liked. So this is, gosh, what's his name? Brad Paisley. So the rule of thumb is if you find a celebrity on a bottle, run. It's going to be super, super expensive and probably not very quality anyways, right? This one's actually really good. what he's doing is he's using a mix of, we've done a review on this before, but it's a mix of some really high age and low age four roses, some Bardstown. It's a secret mash bill. I'll have to look at it later, but I think it's 78.5% corn, which gets used in some sourced whiskeys that's from Kentucky. Nobody really knows what that mash bill is. 78.5 corn, but it's a really good drink. It's a little bit lower proof, but I think it's pretty solid. Oh, these are really cool. Okay, so I got a few of these. I'll just kind of show you one of them. So Bourbon Junkies, shout out to them. I seriously doubt they've ever seen one of my videos. They're probably the biggest whiskey tubers on YouTube. But so they source from, most of their stuff's come from Sagamore, but they're doing some other stuff now too. Guys, these are like $65. They're cash strength. They're super cool blends. They're done by, people like us that, they weren't distillers. They just kind of became famous because they had good videos and they know good whiskey, but anything like Evernorth Spirits. Those are really, really cool bottles. This one is, this is the Aberron Fish. Oh, and stay tuned for the end of the video. I got a really cool bottle that I doubt any of y'all have. There's a single barrel. So it's really cool. I want to show you that at the end. But let's go ahead and work our way down. So as you can see, I have a lot of Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels went from my least favorite brand. Tennessee whiskey went from my least favorite category to my favorites. I don't like young, low proof, filtered stuff, and that's what Jack was for so long. It was just Jack number 7. Now that it's older, it's higher proof, it's more quality selected, it's single barrels, they're doing experiments, they're doing a higher age. It's become phenomenal. Old Dominant, Jack Daniels, Tennessee Distilling Group, Tennessee whiskey in general, right? George Dickley is even getting better, right? So some of the best, like I talked about 1792, but some of the best value bottles on the market, the single barrel strengths. These are $65, and that's a store pick. All right, so there's the rye, there's the regular Tennessee whiskey, the Jack 10. Again, the age statement Jacks are going up in price. They're getting ridiculous, but I love that Jack 10. This has become a shelfer now, and this is really cool. So it's twice barreled, but the second one's a toasted barrel. It's 100 proof, great bottle. I think these are running like 6 years. One of the coolest bottles from Jack, one of my favorite bottles too, is the twice barreled Heritage Rye. So it's only 100 proof, but it is really cool. So it's double barreled Tennessee Rye. This one was 3 years in the second barrel, which is unheard of. Like, you don't do that. Some people had some mixed reviews about this because it was too dry. Again, I kind of like that. I like a lot of different things. So I appreciate the super oaky, eclectic, dry barrel tannic stuff. But the other releases, like 24, I know was really, really sweet. Great bottle. Peerless is an amazing brand. I love this kind of stuff. So these are both single barrels, which Peerless is expensive and it's kind of young still, but they do, it's all sweet mash. It is low entry proof. This is one of my favorite rye bottles of all time. It tastes like chocolate butter. It's freaking phenomenal. Peerless is a great brand. You're not going to find a bottle under $100 probably, but they're really good stuff. Oh, talk about Penelope, right? So, and I talk about Penelope on this channel a lot. So anything in Penelope category, it's going to be good at worst. Penelope is a great brand. They're MGP, but they're doing some really good stuff. And in fact, they got so good that MGP bottomed out as their own brand. So MGP, Navalins, Remus, and Penelope. If you like rye, you need to have Sagamore. Again, another great budget value bottle. These are all going to go from like 50 to 60 to 70 bucks. This is a 7-year bottle and bond, phenomenal product. My favorite one is the Double Oat. I think that's the best thing they make. If you like rye, you need to own Sagamore Double Oat. Great bottle. I'm not going to talk about Buffalo Trace because everyone knows that. Got some Stag, some Eagle Rare, some regular Buffalo Trace. Eagle Rare is my favorite Buffalo Trace. I will say that. So this is probably the coolest Buffalo Trace bottle I own right now, the 12-year, which again, it's only supposed to be 65 bucks, but you'll be extremely lucky to find that. This is a great bottle. I really like the Eagle Rare mash bill, which is the same as Buffalo Trace and Stag, but that profile of Eagle Rare is really, really good. Redwood Empire is another brand we talk about a lot on this channel, and they're like Penelope for me. Any bottle is going to be good at worst. So this is probably one of my favorite ones from them, the Devil's Tower. It's a very high rye 4-grain. Really like that one a lot. I get something different every time I drink that bottle. It blows my mind how drastically my notes change. We can't skip over Four Roses. So you can see this bottle's almost gone. This is my first favorite brand. And I think this is the best bottle they make, the small batch select. That's 65 bucks. It's 104 proof. You can't go wrong with that at all. Can't go wrong with it at all. Remus back here. This is MGP's kind of flagship brand. Their yearly limited releases are great. I love them. They're gonna do the 75-21-4 or the 60-36-4. Take that math adds up. I usually just quote the corn and the rye, but all right. Okay, so whiskey hot take. everyone freaks out about Weller. Every time someone comes into NBC or they're talking to me about bourbon, it's like, I like Buffalo Trace, Blanton's, and Eagle Rare, and Weller. Again, I hate to keep harping on this. Buffalo Trace makes their products. Weller's good, but Weller is such, they fall so short of all the other wheat whiskeys on the market, wheaters and wheat whiskeys. And one of them, dude, that's coming out recently is Old Fitz Bottled and Bond 7-year, right? So you're going to be extremely hard pressed to find one of the actual Old Fitz, like the 10-year, the 12, 13. I don't know all the years they have, but they're really hard to get. You got to stand in line at Heaven Hill for overnight. But this is a shelfer now, and it's $75, and it's really, really good. And dude, I tell you what, the best brand of wheaters, probably Rebel. This is a great, and I'm going to do a Rebel blind with the 10-year. I have a Distiller Select, and then Rebel 100. I'm going to do a blind with all those. Like, great value on the shelf every day, and you don't have to pay secondary prices for it. And I'll tell you how stupid this is. Weller's single barrel, the orange bottle. My brother just got one, and he's going to get 3 bottles for it. He's going to trade it for 3 bottles because the secondary market's like $450 for a Weller single barrel, which is really, if you just get a Weller foolproof store pick, it's going to be better, right? Higher proof, and it's a pick. The whole Weller thing just kind of blows my mind, but whatever, ran it down. Okay, let's pop down here. First bottle I'm seeing. I am a Jim Beam fan. I like a lot of their products. It's not my go-to, but I really appreciate what they're doing. Jim Beam really is more of an antique oak note for me. This bottle in particular, so we did this in Mary Mashoff 1. This is kind of a dusty. It was bottled in 2020. I say this because they don't make them this high proof anymore or this old. So this is 14 and a half years old. It's 120 proof. That is one of the best bottles of whiskey I've ever had in my life. So what they're doing now with all their single barrels is they're going to be like 9-ish years, because they're higher end stuff. They're putting in 12 or 18 or 21. So they're not going to be, you're not going to find those anymore. Oh, talking about Jim Beam, single barrel. Jim Beam single barrel. This is a $30 bottle. 108 proof. I mean, it's not going to compete against this, but it's a great everyday. And if you're, looking to have a better cocktail or something like that, like I don't drink cocktails, but if you want something that's a little bit higher quality, it's like $30. It's great. Oh, Ben Holiday is another really good wheater. They're out of Missouri. They're going to be pretty affordable, 45, 50, $60, depending on what you're getting. That's Rickhouse proof. They're going to be 6 to 7 years old. Great bottle. I don't do much Irish and Scotch, but Redbreast is my favorite, and particularly this 12-year cask strength. So I've had the 15-year, I've had the 18-year, I've had the regular 12-year, some of the other finished products. The proof just robs the actual quality of the drink because it's so low, but the cask strength, if you can find this, I think it's $100. Not only is it my favorite Irish, it's one of my favorite whiskeys, period. I love that stuff. It's great. I cannot skip over Wilderness Trail. So this is Settler Select, low barrel entry proof, right? So it's a barrel proof, and it's coming out at 106. This is a kind of a barely liver rye. I want to say it's 55 or 6% rye, so still a lot of corn in there. Wilderness Trail is another great value, doing a lot of great stuff. Their bourbons are really good as well, but I really like that rye bottle, so I grabbed that. Oh, this is really cool, actually. Oh, just a bottle of old early times, right? Well, if you know anything, the black cap is the original one, right? Before Sazerac bought them, and Sazerac didn't change the mash bill or anything, but when you change distilleries, you got different yeast strands, and it's, different cooperages and stuff like that. So it went from Brown Forman, which is Old Forester and Woodford and Jack, to Sazerac, and I think it's still good from Sazerac, but you can definitely tell the difference. That was my first favorite bottle. It's phenomenal. If you still have one of those, let me know, one of those black caps. This is a Bourbon Junkies pick from Short Barrel. They do a lot of good stuff. This is a 10-year. This is dark cherry tobacco, stewed peaches. This is a really cool pick on Bourbon Junkies. Walleye Run. So this is Ohio. New Hampton Distillery. New Holland, my bad. So Ohio's doing a lot of cool stuff too. So I don't have any New Riff bottles. I've had tons of them. But New Riff is a great brand. They're finally doing their own juice. It's really good. Walleye Run is also from Ohio. This is a malted rye double barrel, also a Bourbon Junkies pick. Really, really like fruity, like tropical. If you ever had Dragon's Milk before, very, very similar to that. I really like that, which Dragon's Milk is distilled from New Holland. Any of these Russell's Reserve, I'm a big turkey fan, obviously. Any of these Russell's Reserves private selects, buy them. They're like $80, $85, phenomenal bottles. All right, let's go down to the bottom. Okay, so this was really cool. I actually got this as a tip from someone at NBC. This is a 9-year sweet mash Tennessee whiskey from Jack Daniel's, a little taster. Guys, these tasters are what they're Jack Daniel's experiments. These are available in any liquor store in Tennessee. I don't know how they are in other states, but you need to be buying these. I know it's not a cool bottle and it's $3.75. They're like $45, $50, but this is what they do to kind of test the market to see if they want to release something. So all the twice barreled ryes, the heritage ryes, they start out like this. There's some tequila finishes. There's some wine and I say cognac finishes, but this sweet mash 9-year, holy crap, that was great. This is another pretty cool bottle because they're not making it anymore. They did one release of it, the 12-year, now it's a 10-year. But Bullet Rye 95.5 is really good. That's MGP. Of course, you know, Natural Barrel does great stuff. I love all that. We're not going to talk about that. Chattanooga is a really cool brand. They're not my favorite, but they're a good Tennessee brand. They do bourbons and a lot of different finishes. So some really cool stuff from there. And let's hit that blue bottle, right? So this is basically buff turkey-ish. A few years ago, gosh, it was probably only a few years ago. It was probably 10 years ago. Wild Turkey and Buffalo Trace did like a little collab where Buffalo Trace made Wild Turkey. They made their mash bill, right? So it's Buffalo Trace barrels and distillery and yeast strand, but it's Wild Turkey's recipe. So I guess you could call that a mix. I don't know, but I think this is better. So what this is, a bourbon group, New Braunfels Bourbon Group in San Antonio, they took an Eagle Rare barrel first and then a Weller Foolproof barrel. So they take Wild Turkey 101, 50 bottles, 36 bottles of Rare Breed, 30 bottles of 10-year, Russell's 10-year, 15 bottles of Russell's single barrel, 9 bottles of Kentucky Spirit, and then 1 bottle of Master's Keep. They dumped all of that in an Eagle Rare barrel for 3 months and then took it out and put it into a Weller Foolproof barrel for another 3 months and then bottled it. That's like super, super cool. And it really is. This is a true Buffalo Trace Wild Turkey collab for me. You can really get both distilleries on that. So that's a really, really cool bottle that, you know, I don't know how many bottles I got out of it, but not very many people are going to own that. So that's a really cool bottle I own. But yeah, man, this is just kind of a collection that I've been kind of building over the last few years. And again, a lot of this is props to my brother, but pretty proud of what I got. I only buy stuff that I love because I get to taste pretty much anything else I want for free. So, but yeah, hope you all enjoyed this and let me know what's in your collection. See y'all next time.